Hello there, welcome to PGSC. My name is Liam. Yeah, do you remember that revival we were doing? That was like not very long lived whatsoever. But we have still been continuing to play Digimon, and in fact this weekend I went to Bristol Regionals with a lot of the guys from Fanboy, and I ended up getting top 16 with CS Mastemon, which I was super happy with. So I just thought I would make this video just to break down a little bit about what my weekend was like, go over very briefly some of my matchups, because those of you who know what CS Mastemon is will know, there's not too much to its game plan. So I'm going to break all of that down very briefly and then just go through a little bit of my deck building process and things that led me up to this event, because I've only been playing the deck for around 2 weeks or so. So we'll get straight into it. So yes, I did end up third in Swiss. I did lose in top 16. So, KNT Elixir is right on the money with his predictions.
Final Shinicarry, buster every time. Non-final Shinicarry, goated.
But yeah, that's how it goes. So I will briefly go into my matchups. So I do have them on my phone here. So round one was against another Cyber Sleuth deck, but this time he was playing the Alphamon variant. I won 2 games, lost 1 game. So game 1, I pretty much just OTK'd him. Game 2 was where I couldn't find many pieces, and then in game 3 I managed to secure up the win. And as you'll see as I go through a lot of these rounds, I'll just do a lot of I OTK'd him, I didn't OTK. That's generally how it goes. So round 2 I played against the event winner Tommy Tricks. I did end up beating him, so I beat him 2-1. Again, that was a lot of either had it or didn't have it. My only loss in Swiss was round 3 against Hootie. I did win the first game because he did overextend a little bit with a Black Wargreymon on ace, and I managed to play around it and, break his board and get through. The other 2 games, I was just a little bit too slow, and Hootie just does what Hootie does and just plowed through my security, and I died very quickly. Round 4 was against another one of my friends, Usman. Shout out to you, Usman. Absolute legend. He was playing Geobirds and Mastemon was just who can OTK each other first. Game 1, he says, "I'm really sorry, bud, I've got the line." I'm like, no, go for it, that's fine. Game 2, I do the exact same thing to him, and I just present him my lethal board and kill him. And then in game 3, unfortunately, he just needed his level 5s to be able to combo and kill me. So he starts digging for them, and he mills them both off a Growlmon, and yeah, it was really raps from there. He was forced to spend a lot of memory to out my Mastemon. I just hope I didn't have it, but I did have it, so unfortunately that's how it goes. GG's to Usman though. Round 5, I played Maloloop, 2-1 again. I just found the combos when I needed to. Round 6, I beat Royals 2-0. They were nice and quite simple games. I managed to get my combos quite quickly. He played well around what I was doing, and he was doing his setup correctly. It was just a case of there was one turn where my only other level 5 to continue my OTK line was in the trash, and he played the Gallantmon that stops me playing from trash. So I just managed to wait a turn, just played a Tamer to pass him to 1, and I was able to combo the turn after because he didn't show me the second Gallantmon. Round 7, I played against the Minimon, which I was very worried about because I was like, how do I actually play against this as Mastemon? Unfortunately, he just kind of bricked both games. He didn't see the Minimon in either game. There was one real good play that I liked that I was going to do that I did in game 1, where he showed me a board of his own BT23 Mastemon, an Angemon, a Pillarmon, so I couldn't play by effects, and what was the other thing? Yes, it was a hard played Magna Angemon that evolved into a Tribumon Ace. So I promoted, and I had enough DP minus and Digivolve in my combo to break through the board. I had to do it suboptimally, because with the Angemon effect that adds a security, if I did that at any point during the combo, I was getting spun to my security from his Mastemon. So I made a suboptimal line, but it outed his board cleanly, and that was one of the lines that I was happiest about over the weekend. Obviously sucks he didn't manage to get into his intended combo, and we talked about it after the game, and he was a really nice guy. It's a shame that it happened that way, but yeah, good games all around. And then my last round in Swiss was against Rocks. I lost game 1 because he OTK'd me, and then game 2 and 3 I just managed to OTK him because he didn't see any close, and there were situations where he was promoting a Landramon, and then just ending his turn there, and it meant that I was able to promote, make my Lady Devimon to pick off the level 4 body, and then I could like revert and do my combo, or I could just wait until next turn to do the combo. So it was a lot more comfortable in those last 2 games, but in the first game I was absolutely sweating bullets. And then in top 16 on day 2, I played against Pure Mastemon. And with the Pure versus CS matchup, the Pure has a lot more like rebuild tools and things that they can do to like go wide. Like for example, they can make multiple Mastemons per turn, whereas I'm making the same body multiple times. So they, in theory, get to go wider. They have bigger rebuild things. I actually had a game 1 win because of a deck check error, but I got completely sacked in the first game where he blinding raid and hit into a BT15 Gatomon, and I had no choice but to spin the body, and it meant that with the 6 memory that he had from his mem setter and that combo, he was able to play down the starter deck Gatomon and produce a full board from there. That was kind of unfortunate. And then the second game, game 3 of that series, I just didn't find my pieces. I made Mastemon suboptimally. I never had Partition Live, so it was just very difficult for me to get into the game, and I ended up losing. But I was not too upset whatsoever because I got my invite, and that was really what I was there for. It was my last chance because I'm not able to play Darksphere this upcoming weekend. So it really did mean a lot, and yeah, it was a really fun weekend all around. So what I'm going to do now is go into some of the deck building philosophy. As I said, I've only been playing Mastemon for around 2 weeks or so. So it was just like learning the combos. So I'm going to just take you from literally where I began up to my current list. I actually have another list from changes that I've already made from the weekend, but I will be keeping that for another time, hopefully another deck profile in Dusseldorf. So we'll go over to that because I basically started when I saw there's this channel that I watch, Muho Chitai Gaiden. Shout out to these guys. Like I have watched their content for a long time, and they showed this list, which I thought was like a very very compelling list. When if you actually watch this this tournament series, spoilers, Mastemon does end up winning it. And it's just, I saw the OTK line and I was like, this is absolutely demonic, absolutely heinous. I want to give that a go. I'm not really a control player, as people who know me may tell you. I don't like control decks as much as I like just killing you dead. So this version of Mastemon I just thought was very, very fun. I liked how it looked, and then when I like started, by getting the cards and resolving the combos, it's actually like really satisfying to do. With this list, there are a couple of things that I didn't like, and there's another list that we'll go on to in a moment. Mainly this list, it was the Gargamon and the Rise Greymon were the things that I was not as like convinced about. I think with the Rise Greymon, with Hootie and Hootie control lists playing the Venusmon, which funnily enough was a card that I lost to this weekend. Just having a sec modifier that's always on, like, and not being able to do your Mastemon when digivolving, it will just mean that you just can't play the game, you cannot do the OTK, your deck just kind of falls apart. The Tamer Acceleration's nice, and the same thing with the Gargamon, where getting the Tamer down is really big. I just think this card is not good for CS Mastemon, and just moving on from that, there was a list here on Card Meta from Gunnar from Sully's Vote, and I like this list a lot more. I like the inclusion of the Mirai, being able to just like filter through your deck, just see more cards, because ultimately this is a combo deck, and like with the amount of pieces that you need to actually just like kill your opponent, just the extra card draw is nice, and it also means that you don't have to like proactively put down Ami early. You can always like get into it. But obviously that's what the Tamer free plays are for. Of course, you got the Gargamon, and you also have the Terriermon. But again, I just feel like there wasn't enough like gas with this list. I spent a lot of my time like promoting a 4 and then devolving and then making a 5 and like just building a board like larger. So I made a lot of change, well, not a lot of changes, but I made some ratio changes, and then this is the list that I settled on for this weekend. So this is my 50. What I'm going to do is just explain basically like a top-down way and explain like how the combo works. I was originally planning to do some combo demonstrations on Drasil. However, Drasil seems to have been nuked. I actually saw a Facebook article about it this morning. It's like a Cloudflare problem. So we'll take the L on that one. You will just have to use your imaginations as I talk, or maybe I leave it if it comes back up. Maybe I'll edit it in later, who knows. But we'll start with the profile at the top. So we're going to speak about BT23 Mastemon. So this is the card that really like allows the deck to play. This is the main combo maker. This is what helps with your OTK. So it's DNA Digivolve from a yellow and a purple level 5 for 0. And when Digivolving, you may play a level 5 or lower purple or yellow card without paying the cost. And then trash till both players have 3 security. So this is like really critical because it just means that in this meta, you aren't checking, you know, Hoodie Tamers. You aren't checking Hoodie options such as Comet Hammer as often. It just also is like, you know, I think there's a lot of decks that are like nursery decks where you build up your trainings and your mem boosts, and if I can avoid hitting them in security at all means, I absolutely will. And because of the combo line that we'll get into as we move further down the deck, it'll make sense why we do this, so it's safer for accessing our OTK lines. Its other effect is all turns once per turn. When a stack is removed from, you can place a Digimon as the bottom card. So it's a very flexible effect, so it's really good for removal. There are times where sometimes if you don't necessarily have the OTK or they have a threat on board, such as a body that can swing next turn if you aren't finishing the OTK, or a target for a Blast DNA or a Blast Digivolution or Blast DNA Digivolution, being able to spin it is just really huge. There are not many things that have protection from Chaos Deck, so Master is just a really, really strong removal. The other, it's flexibility as well, as you can put your own things into security. So there are times where if it's been like a very close game or my opponent is restricted on resources, I can maybe like choke them to a very low amount of memory and also place my guy into security, so I have just an extra life basically, if you know it's something that you don't need for the next turn. It also has barrier itself and partition, so if it does get removed, you can play out specifically Angelomon and Lady Devimon. It's not like Pyodramon's partition where it's color and level based. It is specifically the pieces, but we are specifically playing the pieces because they're the ones that make the deck work and they do some cheater things. But yeah, that's Mastemon, and we go into this, we want to see as many copies of this as we can, so 4 is a really good number here. So the other component to the OTK is this Mastemon, the promo. So the reason that you played this one is because of the first when Digivolving effect, this one here, because you get to recover, which is nice, and then if DNA Digivolving, which if you are doing the combo you should be doing, you get to place a Digimon or Tamer as a top or bottom security card and trash your opponent's security. So basically the combo is when you've made this Mastemon, you swing, you have Alliance from this Angelomon, which we'll cover soon. So you do 2 checks, leaving them on 1 life, and then you use your effect to revert, again, which we'll cover as we get there. And then you DNA those 2 pieces into this Mastemon and burn their last security and swing for game. It does have another when Digivolving effect, which is by trashing your top security card, you can play a purple or yellow Digimon card with 6k DP or less from hand or trash. So the good part about this is that if you don't have like full combo, or you know you are just trying to present a board, you can play down anything that is like level 5 or lower in this deck, obviously apart from Lucemon, and have like a myriad of effects. So you can do on play draw 1, you can do on play sec -2, which can be clutch in some situations. This one is on play a -3k DP, so you know could be good for just shrinking off a body or something that we couldn't quite kill. The other thing that with this as well is that if you don't have a Tamer on board to put to security to burn, you can resolve this when Digivolving first to trash one of your life to play out a level 4 or a level 5, and then you can then resolve this effect by placing the thing you played back into the security. So it just gives you, if your opponent doesn't have a massive board, if you are OTKing early, it at least means that you have ways of proccing that effect fully to make sure that you can resolve your OTK. So they are our level 6s. These are the things that help with the OTK. Just 2 copies of this. I did play 3 for a while, sort of similar to Hunters or Gunners List, sorry. But I basically needed to make room for some other tech, which we will cover very shortly. So we'll go down to the level 5s now. So we'll start with Angelomon. So these are the Angelomon and Lady Devimon are the 2 pieces that we need to make the Mastemons. So we'll start with Angelomon. Excuse me. So it has an effect when this card will be played from the hand. If you have Lady Devimon or Mirai, reduce the play cost by 3. So this is really good for just getting up into your lines and just very efficiently making your Mastemon stacks. The Lady Devimon has the same effect, but of course it's reversed for Angelomon or Mirai. So Angelomon on play, when digivolving, you add the top card of security to your hand. Then if you have 3 or fewer, you can recover 1. So this is really good for cycling. It basically makes your security like a second hand or a second deck almost, because you can just keep cycling. Sometimes you find the combo piece that you need out of there. It's also good because on play, because you're removing a security card, you do have the option of using your BT23 Mastemon's all turns effect to tuck something into security. So if you are making this in a situation where you and your opponent are both at 3 or fewer security and you aren't resolving the when digivolving second part of the when digivolving effect, you can always play the Angelomon and then get your security add to then spin. So it's nice and flexible in that way. It also has Inheritable Alliance, which is very important for the combo because it means when we swing with our first DNA Digivolved Mastemon, we are doing 2 checks, which is paramount to our damage mapping. The Lady Devimon, on the other hand, as we said, it has the exact same play cost reduction. These also evolve off CS trait, so our entire deck is CS, so it doesn't really matter about color. Just whatever we need, we just need the levels to be able to get there. This has blocker, which does come up sometimes. It actually won me a single game at a Star Regional because my opponent just didn't know it had blocker. I just meant that he just mapped this damage incorrectly. And then on play when digivolving, delete a level 4 or lower. So it's good for hitting floodgates. Floodgates do hit this deck. It's also good on like a partial hoodie board, or if you've made a hoodie, for example, a Shakamon spit out a level 4 body, you can just delete it with this. It's like very strong removal. It being 4 or lower is good for the format. Also has an inheritable scapegoat, so if your Mastemon would be deleted, you can just delete something else instead. Which I didn't use too much. It doesn't come up, but it's just a nice to have. And it comes up with a card that we are playing as our tech, our Lucemon, which we'll talk about now. So shout out to Jambo for putting me onto Lucemon, and shout out for Tommy NT for telling me that this one was optimal. On play when digivolving, you basically give your opponent the choice, heaven or hell. You can either delete one of your Digimon or Tamers, or you burn a further one and I recover one. So the reason that we played this is just to put more pressure on opponents and make them make bad decisions, because I was only playing 1 of it to hide it. I started on 2 of this, and then as I played it more and more, I think I preferred playing 1 just to sort of not always reveal that information, just because if you don't expect this coming and you're not prepared to delete a tamer, it can be like very, very bad for you. But it also means that if they do burn the security, it means that you aren't forced to find the Mastemon to complete the OTK. You can just have any 2 Mastemons, because you will play this, resolve all the effects, and then if they burn, they go down to 2 security, and then you go Mastemon, providing you have Angelomon, you Alliance, to swing 26k 2 checks, and then they are then on 0 security, and you can do your revert, go into a new Mastemon, because Lucemon is both colors, so it doesn't matter which Angel or which level 5 you have on top, because Lucemon can always be the other color source to go into the second Master. It can't be this one, as we said, because there is no security needed to burn, and then you can swing for game that way. The other effect as well is niche, but it can come up. It's an all turns. When this Digimon would leave the battle area, by trashing your bottom security, it doesn't leave. So one interaction that this can have is if you have the Lady Devimon with Scapegoat, if Mastemon is to be deleted, you can then Scapegoat, target the Chaos Mode to be deleted, and then the Chaos Mode goes, nuh-uh, burn a security, and then it will then proc your BT23 Mastemon effect, and you get to spin another body. So it was a nice little interaction that we had, and it played really well for the day. I think I will keep this as a one-off. It's just having that sort of like extra 1 of each color source without having to dedicate too much of dedicate too much to one color either way, or give up too many deck building slots. So the big way that we cheat into these level 5s is with this War Criminal. This is Yugo. So Yugo is on play, searches for 3 and adds 1 card with CS. So it searches for every single card in this deck apart from Promo Mastemon and Chaos Mode. which is fine because you just generally want to draw these anyway, and you should draw them throughout the course of the game. And then the other effect is the more problematic one, which is the your turn effect. When any of your Digimon tamers with CS will be played, return the tamer to the bottom of the deck and reduce the play cost by 2. This is an interruptive effect, so if you do have 2 Yugos, you can reduce the play cost by 4 by spinning 2 of them to the bottom of the deck. It does also, because it is an interruptive effect, it stacks with the Angelmon and the Lady Devimon in like play cost reductions. So if you have 1 Yugo, this costs 2 to slam a level 5. If you have 2 Yugos, this costs 0. It's absolutely stupid. It is cheating, but yeah, that's what you have to do to get those wins, I guess, to get the combos through. The other thing with Yugo is he has his counterpart in the option of the agency. The agency works very similarly to Yugo in terms of the search, but it's a delay gain 2 memory. So these are like kind of flexible because they in effect do the same thing. It's just this is reducing by 2 and this is gaining 2 memory. So a lot of my boards where I was ready to OTK was I would have the pieces that I need in hand, and then I would have one of my level 5s in the back, 1 Yugo and 1 agency, or 2 agency and 2 Yugo. Either way, any setup of that is enough for you to break the board without any interruptions. Obviously, the more interruptions you have, the more that you will need to spend and the more that you need to optimize your lines. But these 2 cards are very critical to the combo, so that's why they are also both maxed out at 4. So we'll now talk about the next important part of the loop, which is the rookies, because all of the rookies have this inheritance effect, which is main once per turn. By placing the top card of a CS to its bottom, you draw 1 card. So the reason that you do this is because once your Mastemon has done its swings, because it's DNA Digivolved, it is a new Digimon, so you can use this main again, and then you can put the Mastemon underneath the stack, reveal usually the Angelmon, and then you are praying that the other body that you played out was the Lady Devimon, and then you have the 2 bodies ready to make your next Mastemon play, whether it be the promo or the BT23 one. Just to go into these specifically, so Palmon is a your turn. When one's placed, you gain a memory, so it's a nice little extender. The Terriermon plays a tamer if you have 1 or fewer, so it's like the Gargamon, but you just, instead of getting it when Digivolving, you have to do the revert to get it. And then the Hagurumon is a -3, so it's nice for a little bit of shrink. So these 2 are the best ones. Hagurumon is the one that you can maybe cut down a little bit, just because there are other cards in the deck that do what he do, just a little bit more efficiently and with other things on the body. But yeah, so these are all really great. And then we'll just talk a little bit about the sort of rebuild cards. So the big rebuild is Ami. So Ami is start of main phase. When your opponent has a Digimon, gain 1 memory. And then if you Digivolve into a CS Digimon, if it has the same level in its Digivolution sources, you can suspend the Ami to evolve into a CS for 0. So it's really good at when you are using these effects to cycle early. It does mean that you can push up to the Angelmon and the Lady Devimon early to, you know, be cycling through the security as the resource, and also just to pick off the stray bodies. And then if you have, you know, Yugo agency, yeah, you are good to combo from there. But I generally found that I've had most success over the weekend by using the Ami just like an extender or a rebuilder. It wasn't necessary for the combo, because if I just had 5 Yugo boost, I knew I was happy to play. So it played well at 4. We also have the Mirai as well that can extend into the Ami, because it has a start of main phase by returning it to the bottom of the deck. You can play a 4 cost or higher CS tamer, so Ami is the only target for that effect. The Mirai is also a trash 1 draw 2 for a CS, so yeah, it helps us find our unsearchables and just get through more of the deck. So it's a nice extender. Also, it being named Mirai means that if you do need to slam one of these, you can get the reduction even if you have, say, a Mastemon board or an empty board. So it's nice just to have the flexibility to have a Mirai live, but also at any time where you no longer need it, you can just spin it into an Ami. Only thing, if you do that, Ami, the start of main phase effect won't activate because it was not there at the start of main phase timing, so you won't get your memory, but generally you just want to use the your turn effect anyway, just so you can cheat up and continue playing the game. So while we're talking about Ami, we'll talk about the level 4s, because it's just these and the egg are the only things that we haven't covered. So with the 4s, you'll notice I am playing 0 Gargamon. I think Gargamon is really bad for CS Mass Day, just because you generally need gas and you need to be making your combo as soon as possible. I found that Terriermon is enough to get down your tamers quick enough, but also you just want to be slamming as many Yugos as possible so you can cheat into your other level 5. So because my ideal turn 1 is maybe like rookie Yugo, it's like, well, in the amount of times that I'm going to see Terrier, chances are I will have multiple tamers anyway, so I'm not going to be too stressed about, you know, getting no effect off the Gargomon. That's the thing. The Gargomon felt like a do-nothing card. The 1k Inheritable was nice, but it wasn't like super necessary quite often, so I just cut it completely. So instead I favored for 4 of the BT23 Anshamon. It says draw 1, so just find more combo pieces, draw 1. The barrier is also nice. Putting the Lady Devi on top of this, being a blocker barrier, sometimes relevant, is worth testing and worth coming up. You're never using Shakamon here, as you see he's not in the deck, but he's a draw 1, and you can go into him very cheaply as you do your revert plays. So you just cycle a lot of your deck. Golden Numemon, another extender, gives security attack -2 on play when Digivolving, but you don't use this as much as you put him in the back turn 1 because you want his Inheritable to reduce the cost of Digivolution by 1. When you are reverting, we can talk about Wanyamon, because when 1 is placed under the source, you can then evolve into a CS trait for cost reduced by 1. So with the Golden Numemon underneath, you get basically a 0 cost level 4, so a 0 cost draw 2, 0 cost draw 1 and revolve some stuff, devolve some stuff. You know, it's a very good extender, and it helps you like build out your board. It saves a memory in the same way that Palmon saves a memory in the combo. So yeah, it's a good card. Also, like floating it into it off of the Mastemon if you need to, just to give something sec -2, just so it doesn't destroy your board next turn. It does come up, so it's relevant, but the Platinum Numemon, we don't play that, so that's completely irrelevant. Gargomon was my other card that I really liked as an extender, just because it has the when Digivolving -3k DP, and then if it has 2 or more same level cards, so if you've done your revert, if this is the second level 4 you're making, you get to de-Digivolve, which is very strong in this meta, just removing ace targets, removing things with certain protections, denying partition, it's taking overflow value. It's really great for that. So the 2k DP Inherit as well is good against certain matchups like Gallant and Royal Knights that have like certain, you know, threshold based DP deletion. So just made it a little bit more sticky to remove from there. But yeah, that was the list, and overall I was very, very happy with it. Again, when 3rd place in Swiss and then top 16, got knocked out in the first round against Pure Mastemon, which is an absolute nightmare matchup for me. But yeah, that's kind of all that I had for today. I just wanted to do a couple of quick shout outs. So shout out to Violet, my partner, for supporting me this weekend and coming along to Bristol. Shout out to Brad, my roommate and PGSC member, as well as Terry, other PGSC member, all the fanboy lot, all the misplay crew, all the people that I met over the weekend. Really, really great. Thanks to OP for running the tournament. And yes, I will see you in Germany for Dusseldorf Euros. Thank you guys. Take care.
Shh, not a zombie channel.